Welcome to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. The Eyes of the Conscious Soul with Sister Mellow brings to you every first Saturday of the month from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. the Cafe Le Bleu Lounge, where there are 15 to 45-minute segments called The Corner. Each corner has a blueprint that is unique of its own. So we also always ask you to relax, vibe out sometimes to cool sounds, fireside chats like we're going to have today, and be inspired by affirmations and inspirational messages. The first corner is called The Artist Talk. We showcase musicians, poets, singers, dancers, film producers, authors, comedians, gospel and R&B rappers from around the Bay Area to across the globe. They will share their creative process and their lived experience. The second corner is Why I Dream. We highlight and honor the inventions and creative work of today's brilliant mind, along with the geniuses from our past. We are preserving African American history and culture in order to keep our legacy alive. The third corner, which is today's topic, She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. This is where you will hear from individuals, share their personal testimonies to what God has done and is doing in their lives, which are inspirational messages. Also, we are highlighting golden light affirmations to impart healing medicine in the soul of the brilliant minds of today. Every second Saturday of the month is the medicine hour with Mr. George Pearson, a physician assistant. This is where we believe building a better tomorrow starts with us. Topics we cover: health issues and concerns, healthy eating habits, education, financing, and in the African American community. We believe taking care of our temple, mind, and spirit is essential to having mental wellness and having and always eating healthy and knowing that healthy thinking leads to a healthy way of living. Every third Saturday is the medicine hour. Is education is the best medicine. The founder and producer of Education is the Best Medicine, Mr. George Pearson. Education is the Best Medicine is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, charitable organization, which is community based, health, education, advocacy based, and a resource based organization that uses public media resources, radio, newspapers, and church based community health fairs to provide information and education. We believe vision is the art of seeing things yet unseen and bringing light to a very dark world. The fourth Saturday of the month is the kitchen table. This is hosted by Ms.Barbara Howard, aka Sister B. Mellow, founder and producer of the Eyes of the Conscious Soul, and her co-host, Mr. George Pearson. This is where we have real talk conversations and share information with individuals, organizations, business owners around the Bay Area and across the communities. Boy, that's a mouthful. And there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to share. But however, we definitely want to make sure that you all, we're grateful and thankful that you have tuned in to Believe Radio. Today, we have the Eyes of the Conscious Soul, which the segment is She Who Takes Off the Mask. She who takes off the mask believes. So with that, the topic we're going to have today is what's your story on Cafe the Blue Lounge. And I have today with me Miss Shan'drea Lewis, which is my daughter, and we're going to have some candid conversations, and we're going to talk about Miss Howard's story. So with that, I want to thank you for being here, Miss Lewis.
Absolutely.
And thank you. What are you doing?
I am living.
You're living. Okay, living life to the fullest is what we're talking about.
To the fullest.
Hey, that's what it's all about.
No, but thanks for having me. My name is Shan'drea Lewis, and I'm in management, and I enjoy helping people.
Oh, outstanding. I'm so glad that you are my daughter. Boy, you know the devil is busy. Boy, you got me over here tongue-tied, but you know what? It's all good because this is God's show, and this is what we're going to give out straight talk, real talk, and all that kind of good stuff about what he wants us to say.
Absolutely.
And she who believes takes off the mask. And I don't mind taking off my mask because my mask is to inspire, encourage, and help somebody else heal in their lives. So I'm excited about today's conversation.
So am I.
So with that, I want to also say kudos out to my son, Leandre Bodie, and my sisters, and all the community, a host of friends and family. We want to say thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the things that you've done in our community. Thank you for pushing us, encouraging us, and I want to thank Mr. Adam and Mr. Curtis for Believe Radio, Black-owned radio. Hey, it's all about us continuing to uplift our community, and this is what it is all about today. So with that, I just want to say that I am a self-taught entrepreneur. With that, my God, I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Howard. They were entrepreneurs themselves, their family businesses. When they were growing up, they were self-taught, so I'm grateful to them for encouraging us and motivating us to be all that we can be, and definitely make sure that we take care of our community. And to want to say happy heavenly birthday to my dad. Yes,
Happy
yes,
birthday, great daddy.
yes, to my daddy. And I was a daddy's girl, and I am a daddy's girl. But with that saying, is that growing up inside of the actual bakery, it was amazing because knowing we come from a background of parents just motivating you and telling you that you could be all that you can be. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. I know every James Brown song there is. Oh my God. And amongst others. But that was the foundation. That was the foundation to my household. That was the foundation to what how my father acted and lived and gave into the community, him and Mrs. Howard. So with that, I want to say that we had a family business in the Bayview district, and it was called Wendy's Cheesecake Bakery. And in its heyday, oh my God, we were in Safeway. We were in we delivered our pies all and pies and cakes all around the bay, all the way down to Los Banos, almost by LA. And we would deliver to the Hyatt House in San Jose. We worked out of a collaboration with a business owner at the airport. So our cheesecake was on the airlines. At one point, we would sell the cheesecake to them, and then they would, because they had a contract with the airline. So it was amazing to be able to be growing up into in a space that we were able to be creative. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when I said self-taught earlier, I mean self-taught. I was the over making the cakes, and I remember one point, and Jackie was over doing the carrot cake. So she had to put the carrot cake orders. I had to do the cakes, and Melody had to do folding the boxes and make. And she had to do the and the pies. So with that, I remember we having a order of like 50 cakes at the time. And I knew nothing about making a German chocolate cake, and I had to decorate it. So what my father did, he said, "This is your order. This is what you need to do, and you need to make them." I'm like, "Say what?" So I was maybe 14, maybe 14 years old, and I had to create those create those German chocolate cakes. And with that, I made those cakes, and they were beautiful, and we delivered them to the restaurant, and they were beautiful. They were absolutely beautiful, and I learned from my father and from my mother. And they were, as I was saying, my father and mother used to work for Shell 21 in the Bayview district, and they flew folks in all around the world to watch your grandfather work because he was outstanding. He was he's so creative, and he can catch, if you allow him to look at creating something or making a recipe, pow, in his head, he got it. He's good with numbers too. He can add things up without even thinking, using a calculator. I was like, oh my God. However, with that being said, holding it down from self-taught, it amazes me today for the things that I know and the things I had to learn myself and the things I had to do. And with that, the bakery played a major, major role in why I am like I am today. It allowed me to have the opportunity to be my own boss. And with that, it took a lot of sacrifice. So in the midst of being your own boss, being in the bakery, of course, at the time when we were starting off, you didn't make a lot of funds. So what I had to do is I had to go get welfare. But however, with that, surviving, making sure that my household, you and your brother, was fed and nourished and was beautiful children. You guys gave me no issues. And I just want to say, family, it is important that you pour into your children. It's important that you pour into your community. You show love, you sacrifice, and you hold it down. And that was a part of my actual story, me being in the bakery, but I liked it because I owned the part of being no one to tell me what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to set my own hours and all of that, and it was a beautiful thing. So being able to get welfare, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I
Absolutely.
want to say to the mothers and to the fathers that's out there surviving in their communities and doing what you have to do to survive, to bring things together and make ends meet. That is so important.
Mm-hmm.
So I say kudos to you and keep up the excellent work because it's not easy, and what's going on in society today. I feel for the mothers and the fathers because this social media and all the things that's happening in the world is just absolutely crazy. So, with that, as being your mother, um, could you share with me some things that I did in our household that that inspired you to be the young lady that you are today?
Well, I would say first my relationship with God.
Mm,
I've always seen you give Him His glory, His
mm,
praise, His you being thankful for the things that He's done for us, and that it was we know for a fact that it was nobody but Him.
Let me tell you. Oh, yes.
Multiple times on multiple occasions, and
Mhm.
with that, like that is something that I can resonate with, and just know that that was always my foundation. Of course, passed from our grandparents to you down to us,
Mhm.
and then also organization. I was two. Put that back. No, but in all honesty, I think we might have started cleaning our rooms
Mhm.
ourselves at what 4 and 6.
Yes.
Literally, it may sound strange, but that we learned organization. We learned you put things where they belong. You understand structure. So for
Mhm.
me, that was a foundation for structure, and understand that nothing is just free.
Mhm.
So you have to earn,
Mhm.
and then also mental shutdown, quiet time. Let me say that again. Mental
Mental.
shutdown, quiet time. Parents, if you don't understand it, you may want to understand it and take heed. It definitely helped her enclose herself in her own home, but still focusing on her children.
Mhm.
And what I mean by that was that gave her time to nourish, they gave her time to recuperate, they gave her time to decompress. That also allowed her the space to still be Barbara, but raising the two of us.
Mhm.
I would say the music.
Mhm.
Um, Believe it or not, Leandra and I reference a lot to music, and sometimes the music that we listen to, everyone around us is like, "Why are you listening to that old music?" Because that old music tells a story.
Mhm.
And so with the music telling a story, that's a way how we learn you
Mhm.
through the different music that you were listening to, the volume that you were listening to, the key that you were singing in that very moment. And yeah, I mean, I just would say the foundation of love, the foundation of these are my children, and I do any and everything for my children. This you talked about sacrifice.
Mhm.
We appreciate you for all the sacrifice that you made and the sacrifice that you're still making. And
Mhm.
you were not selfish; you were selfless. And I say that to say you sacrifice a lot, still working in the community, still sharing. We still share you. Uh, I'm just grateful that you
Woo.
raised us not to be selfish, because
Mhm.
you have a lot of these community people that's out here, and they go back and forth with themselves internally, not realizing that their family is pulling on them in a selfish way, but you can't fully get to the community.
Mhm.
So I appreciate that. And I just appreciate the vulnerable space that you allowed us to be in as children. There's a lot of kids nowadays that are raising themselves and having to grow up faster than they actually should. And unfortunately, that's just life situations, and everybody was raised differently. But I definitely commend you for the way that you protected the space that you were raising Leandra and myself in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I just want to say thank you. And again, we want to thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio. You have tapped into She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. And today we are talking about what is your story. So we have Miss Shan'drea Lewis here today asking, what is my story? And I am her mother, and I am sharing the truth. You know, I believe in sharing truth. I believe in being authentic. I believe in knowing that no one or nothing can stop me, even if you know something about me.
Absolutely.
You know, because I say your story, and I tell people all the time that your story is important. Own it. Good, bad, ugly, challenging. Own your story. That's all you have is your story. And how do you play a role in your story is going to be totally up to you.
Yeah.
And I'm always asking people to shed a light, you know, and not just talk about the good things. You know, you talk about the challenging things. You talk about things that you've been through. And people, young folks know, I'll tell you quick about what has happened to me.
Right.
And on that note, I would like to share that in my early days, at the age of, I was touched early, you know, by a family member. But however, God still protected me in the midst of that. He still didn't allow me to hate the individual. And um, uh, I didn't take it out myself in a sense when I was younger. And that was maybe about 7, 8, 9, and 10, you know, being that, having been touched. But I didn't really understand until I got older that still played a role in my life. And I didn't know it was a sense of being sexually touched. I didn't know what that was. You know, it didn't penetrate me. But however, it was like in the area, you know, the sting and that kind of thing. And then that made me understand myself about being curious at an early age. And I was very curious at an early age. But with that being said, is that I now take that and I walk and I build on that. I don't, you know, stay in it. And that being said, is I'm trying to hopefully, prayerfully, going to encourage somebody today that I know there's things that happen to us in our past while we're younger, while we're older. The only way I've gotten through it is because of the Lord. That's the only way. That I draw strength, I draw the guidance. And with that being said, growing up, you know, I used to have older boyfriends. So with the with the older boyfriends, it came to a point that you know, you start getting into drugs and different things like that. I was smoking weed real early. I don't mind sharing it. I'll tell you. People are like, Miss, how are you? I'm like, oh yes, I have. Yes, I did. But however, with that being said, and then it graduated to something else, and then it graduated to something else. So with the last portion of what it graduated to, let me go back. So when I was, I would say 17, my boyfriend at the time, I didn't know, he was older than me. I didn't know he had sold me to some other guys. And right. And so with that, thank the Lord for having a ram in a bush, because God is good. At that time, I was sitting there. We went to a person's house, and I don't normally go into where he goes to, but this particular time he asked me to come in. I'm like, okay, it was kind of strange to me. So I came in, I was in there with him. I sat down. And with that being said, a couple hours, maybe an hour later, he left. And I was like, and he was saying, you know, stay here. He's never done that to me before. And I was like, okay, well, why are you asking me to stay here? So I'm always been alert, always gave game real early. So I'm like looking at my surroundings, paying attention. And I'm like, okay, something is different here. Something is strange. And with that being said, hours and hours and hours went by. And I was asking them, well, you know, was he coming back? He's like, oh, yeah. They was like, oh, yeah, he's coming back. So that was the earlier part of the day. So it got to be maybe 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, no, I don't think he's coming back. So in the midst of that, I said to myself, okay, oh my God, what then happened now? What's going on? So with that, I'm looking at, it was like 4 guys there. So I'm looking at the guys, and you know how I see one that's really like, that wasn't his style. So, and I'm over here praying. I'm praying. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to be, I'm gonna be in trouble here. So with that, um, they asked me to go into a room. So I'm like, oh Jesus, what? So I go into the actual room, and this one guy said, wait, let me go first. So he comes in there with me, and he closes the door. He says, sister, he said, let me tell you something. You've been sold. So what you need to do, I don't know how you're gonna get out of here, but the reason why I asked to go first because I can see that you're not that type of young lady, and I definitely wouldn't want to do that to you. And I knew that that was my angel. So he says, there's a window over there. You can't go out through this front door because those guys are there and they're waiting to come in here after me. So I come in to pretend that I'm doing something with you, but I'm not going to harm you. I'm not going to do anything. So we were in the Pink Palace over there in Fillmore. So we're in a 3-story. I have on boots. I'm looking nice. And I'm like, oh my God. The only thing I can say, you want to jump out the window. I'm like, what? So what I did, I jumped out the window. I took my boots off, jumped out the window, and I went flying under the whole building.
Jeez.
And under there was like it was dark, and it was different spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening when I was jumping out the window, the guy walked out the door, and I could hear the guys ask, where's that bee? Where's she at? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm running. I can hear I'm flying. So I run under there, get safety, don't know how they passed me. I'm hearing them calling me all kinds of names, saying we're going to find her, blah, blah, blah. They passed me. When they left, I went the opposite way. And I'm saying all that to say I can be transparent because there's many things that happen to young folks these days.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be mindful. So family, get in tune, talk to your young folks, encourage them. There's a lot of things that's going on in society that you don't know what's pulling them. So in that midst of that time, I end up escaping and getting away, and thank God for that.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, that was scary. That was a scary point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that there, I end up went to another part of, the next level and doing the stuff I shouldn't have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
But hallelujah, I can say that the Lord is good, and I've been clean as whole for 34 years. So I am so excited. The Lord had blessed me at the age of 18. I was told that I would never, ever be able to experience motherhood. And I have two. I have you and I have Leandre. So I was told that if I ever had any children, they would be miracle babies. So I just want to say at Believe Radio, you have tuned into The Eyes of the Conscious Soul with your Sista'h B. Mellow. The Believe Radio is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. Today, you have tuned in to Cafe Le Bleu Lounge, where we are on the corner of She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. So we are here. The topic today is What's Your Story? And I have Miss Lewis asking me some individual questions, and I'm sharing my story, my life, to inspire, to encourage, to motivate somebody else. Because it's not my story anymore. It's God's story, and it's for me to share it, and hopefully someone will heal from it. Mm-hmm. So as I was saying, with that of being at 18, couldn't have any children. Thank God I have children now. And I want to go back with high school. Mm-hmm. Being in high school in the community, I was, because we had a business, folks didn't want to be your boyfriend because, they knew your father, they knew the community, they knew what kind of stock and what you come from. Mm-hmm. So I had friends that was always, the young men always wanted to protect me versus, be my, me be their girlfriend. But however, I thank God for that. And in school, I always wanted to be like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I was shared at an early age that I didn't really understand that till I became a young adult and an adult now. I'm 57. I'll be 58 on June the 21st. Mm-hmm. So, hey, the sister's in the house trying to do her thing. But with that being said, I had a teacher, and I'm just going to say this because growing up in a household that encouraged you. I had a teacher that I really, really loved, and she did not like me for some reason. She liked my two sisters, but they took her class, but she never did like me.
Mm-hmm.
So in the class, she embarrassed me in front of the classes, in front of the class, and she told me that I would never ever be anything.
Mm.
So with that, that's how I end up. I'm skipping around. That's how I end up going to drugs because I love the, even though you come from a background foundation of individuals, your family members encouraging you,
Mm-hmm.
you still have someone that you may have loved, and things will throw you off. So I was in high school, going to the 12th grade, had a few more credits, and I dropped out.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that situation. But I vowed that I would never, and this is the reason why I'm saying this is because this is shaping and sharing you about who Miss Howard is.
Absolutely.
Miss Howard is about, I always said that under my watch, no one would never discourage or tell someone that they were nothing. That's why I uplift my community. That's why I do what I do in the community. That's why I hold people to their stories, because their stories is important. And I wish that lady can see me today. I'm not quite sure who, if she's still around. It was Wildrow Wilson High School, but I'm not going to say the name of the teacher. But that's neither here or there. But just in the midst of different areas and things that I've been through in my life, that was a challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
I am sharing today because, like I said, I hope that it will encourage somebody else. And
But look at how that story shaped who you are today. And they say that the best person to be able to connect with somebody is the one who's been through it versus someone on the outside looking in, telling someone how to do it, what to do, when to do it, and they don't understand the first thing of doing it or going through that situation. So look how you are shaped into the person that you are today. Not saying that was the best way. However, it definitely connects to Barbara Howard's story. And look at Barbara Howard now.
Yes.
Look at me now.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think that is a source of power. And it's very important when you tell your story. You don't know how many people can relate to you in regards to someone maybe discouraging someone on something that's very important, that was very critical to their lives, and it's a pivotal point in their lives. And look at where they are now. Some handle it differently, some handle it another way, but at the end of the day, it's still connected to your story. Right. It's a big part.
Wow. Okay, Miss Lewis, she who believes takes off the mask. That's what we are here tapped into Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. And we are inspiring and hopefully encouraging someone today.
Absolutely.
To pick up their to pick up their I would say their life in a way, looking at it in a holistic way.
Absolutely.
And that's why I mean picking it up and holding it and looking at in a different perspective of the things that you've gone through and yet that you are going through in your life today. And with that being said, me taking you to school, and I'm gonna change this over a little bit. Me taking you to school in Mississippi and leaving you there in college, but knowing that God had you.
Absolutely.
It was scary.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful.
But let's go back.
Okay.
If you remember in high school, I was a part of the college preparatory program called College Track.
Absolutely. And what was his name?
Caden
Carter.
Caden Carter.
Carter.
I have to give kudos where kudos is due. Amazing human being. But yes, I was a part of a program called College Track, but I also went to Oakland Tech High School. However, I was an IEP student. You couldn't tell from looking at me, but definitely had challenges with reading comprehension. My IEP teacher at the time explained to me that I was applying for colleges, and she looked at me and told me, you should probably start at a city college. And I explained very politely that
I remember sitting there.
Thank you, but no thank you. I'm on my way to college. And it just speaks to little things like that deter someone. However, I'm sitting here today by the grace of God with a bachelor's in political science. And
you were told it's good.
Exactly. But I say that to say, going through your story, going through what you taught me, never let anybody tell you what you can and cannot do. That don't put your insecurities out on me. That's right. You, not me. And I say that to say, just journeying, getting to that point, I have to give kudos, 1 to God, 2 to you and my brother for my strength to make it through college. The foundation of yes, you can do it.
Mhm.
Don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't. Of course, I had challenges in college. Everybody have challenges, but I wouldn't change my experience for the life of me. So just going back to where you said you have to depart,
Yes.
for lack of better words, and leave your baby across
Ooh,
the United
my
States of
God.
America, knew nothing about the South, picked up and was like,
But
bye.
and with that being the unique part about that is that that was where your grandmother
Exactly.
was from.
Yes.
So share about how you, before you go to the other part, go there first, but share about how you chose that particular school. What
So
made you choose
let me
it?
go back. We went on a Black college tour from Oakland Tech, and we went to maybe 21,
Mhm.
21 colleges on that trip. So it was about a 10-day trip, I believe. However, when I first started looking at the colleges and we went to the different locations, it was a shock because I'm coming from California where everything is glitter and gold, glitz.
Mhm.
And so going back to the South, you like, this is a college.
And that's where I was born. I was
Right.
born in
Pahokee,
Florida.
Florida.
Pahokee, Florida.
And so I'm like,
Jackie and I was born there.
right.
Melody was born here in Wendy.
So I'm sitting there like, is this a college? Is this a university? Where this look like a dirt pal? Like, what am I gonna get from any one of these places? However, it was a reality check for me. So when I got to Tougaloo College, people were extremely nice, and that's why I graduated from Tougaloo. Shout out to Tougaloo College in Jackson, Mississippi. However, I get to Tougaloo, and there was this gentleman. Won't say his name. However, very nice guy. He was the admissions counselor at the time. And when I got there, literally open arms, any and everything that I needed, breakdown, understanding, hand holding in a process, I had it. And so there, didn't realize what I was walking into, honestly. Listen to the history of it, didn't realize that I was going to be afforded to get a education on a plantation.
And that was my, you know me, boy, when I came down there,
I mean,
I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. And then what did I say to you in the midst of that? I said, if you felt that you could not do it,
absolutely.
I said, you look out in your window and imagine our ancestors walking around this plantation and doing their work, and what you struggling with is nothing compared to what they had to get through and go through and for us to be where we are today, and for you to be able to be enrolled in that particular school. I said, look out that window and see them. And draw strength.
Honestly, it was times where I did, and it was times where I would look around the campus and ask myself, well, how did you get here? Do you belong? And that was me having self-doubt and having to,
happens to us all.
Absolutely. And having to reflect. So I would say my experience at Tougaloo was amazing. Nothing short of amazing. I wouldn't change any of the dark days, wouldn't change any of the sunny days. It made me who I am today. So going back, it's a part of my story. It's a tool in my toolbox. So
that's right.
Yes.
Absolutely. I am so proud to be able to sit across from you.
You're
and
proud
have
to be
you.
My mother.
I'm proud to be your mother. And it's amazing to me because I was closer to my father than I was to my mother. Me and my mother was like, woo.
But you wouldn't trade her.
But I wouldn't trade her for the world.
There you go.
Trade her for the world. But it's amazing that you said that you wouldn't change any experience that you have had. And that's what we basically saying today. In our lives, we have challenges. We have dark days. We have things that we are going through and we're going to go through. But it's the different perspective. It's how you look at it.
Correct.
You know, and knowing that everybody got a purpose and a role. There's a call on everybody's life. And with that, the call on that God's put in us, there's a call. And stand in it, walking in purpose. And that's what I believe I am. That's what I believe I have been chosen to do, is to be that encourager to my community, to people that I don't know and people that I do know. And that's how I got here today. And that I'm just hopefully, prayerfully walking in purpose.
Right.
You know, and share about your journey on your decisions on where you are in your life.
Well, honestly, I would say at a time, I was 18 and a half, 19, and made the decision to go to college. And I was like, at the end of the day, it's something that I want. It was a huge accomplishment, but I would say that I found a part of my journey in college. And knowing the way that I was brought up and the different things that I faced in my childhood was nothing compared to the people that was around me, that were sitting in the seat next to me in the classroom, and you didn't know what their sacrifice was. So for me, it was an eye opener when I went to college, and for a lack of better words, I was a little naive going into college. But with that, I would say that I grew up in college. Even though age was there, the situations in the life situations were not there. So for me, it was a lot of things that, not saying I did anything bad in college, but there was a lot of different situations where I was in college and I was like, ooh, you an adult. Yeah. What you gonna do? But those situations for me, those are stories that you can pass down to someone. Yes. That is not a lesson for me to just keep to myself. Everybody is able to learn from everybody. And so, for example, you can tell me something 50,000 times, but because you're my mother, I'm absolutely like, I hear you. I can go hear it from a complete stranger and be like, oh my God. Like your mother hasn't been telling you that for years. But no, so for me in college, I would say I was in a vulnerable space as a young woman. Yeah. And the decisions that I made, it was the decisions that I wanted to make. Right. So for me, I had the freedom to do what Shan'drea wanted to do. And you sure did. And still doing in a sense. However, for me, it was a closer lens at who Shan'drea is. I was for so many years like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta be this, I gotta be that, I have to do, I gotta complete it. Absolutely not. It's not your life, it's not your life, it's not yours, it's mine. That's so whatever right. Shan'drea decides to do, you better be confident enough that you are okay with that decision. Absolutely. And I say that I'm 30, no kids, not saying it's a bad thing to anybody else, but I'm still on my personal journey. So for me, being 30, being in a career, being able to sit on the radio and be vulnerable and speak across the table from my mother about life situations, that's life. Absolutely. That is life. That has nothing to do with the status in life. That has nothing to do with the accomplishments that you have in life. That to me is a full circle of life. Like you spend so many years pouring into your children, and it has to be an amazing feeling for you to be able to sit across from me and realize, like, oh my God. And you wasn't supposed to be born. Right. What's right. happening? But no, so I would just say that I'm learning. Learning and living. That's right. Yes. So we just want to say again, thank you for tuning into the Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. You have tuned in to the Eyes of the Conscious Soul with your Sista'h B. Mellow. And every first Saturday of the month, we bring to you the Cafe Le Bleu Lounge, which we have the Artist Talk. The second corner is Why I Dream. The third corner is She Who Believes Takes Off the Mask. The third corner, we have, the second corner is the Medicine Hour. And then the third Saturday of the month, we have Education is the Best Medicine. And the fourth Saturday of the month, we have the kitchen table, where we talk about different things that's happening in our community and around the world. So I do want to ask you a question. Sure. If I may. So is there anything that your mother showed you without showing you that you're using in your everyday life now? Oh my God. Faith. Believing and knowing that God can make it work. And let me give you an example. Her and I was Mrs. Ernestine Howard. We were in Wendy's Cheesecake Bakery. We were making some product. We got a major order for 500 pies or something like that. And we hear a click. The freezer goes, whoop, and we like, did the freezer just break down? And her and I looked at each other and we were like, oh my God,
What are we going to do? Didn't have money
Mm-hmm.
to get the freezer fixed, you know. And we're like, okay, well, how are we going to get these orders done? I'll tell you, she said, she grabbed my hand. She said, let's pray. We started
That's
praying.
grandma.
That's grandma. We started praying. 2 minutes later, the thing said click, 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 click. Came back on. She looked at me. I looked at her, and we just started screaming, praising God. Your grandfather come in there like, well, what is wrong with you too? We tell him what happened, and he said, did you not believe he would do it? And he walked back out the door. So there's many, many things that my faith, my faith, and but for my mother and my father and my mother, it's the faith and being obedient, being obedient to when God asks you to do something. Hopefully, prayerfully, that I do the things He asks me to do. If I don't do anything else, when He gives me something to do, I do that.
Absolutely.
And with that being said, that also comes from a part of when I'll stop there with that. But yes, it's the faith and long suffering and being persistent, and she was that lady, and she was classy.
Yeah,
she was a classy lady.
Oh, that she was.
Yeah, even though she didn't have, she went to the 11th grade, but she was. You would have thought she went to a university. You would have thought she had her master's and her doctorate because of how she empowered and encouraged people. You know.
Well, she did in him.
Yes, she did. She did. And the bakery was a fill-up station, is what I called it, because she had a Bible out on the counter on that ice cream machine.
Yeah.
And when you came in there, the customers will start reading the Bible, and then before she knew it, both of them are talking, and she was there to encourage and motivate individuals. So I would say my faith in long suffering and persistence, and just believing.
Is there anything that you would tell your father now?
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
That's fine.
You're gonna make me cry because he taught me that I deserve the best.
Absolutely.
And I deserve to be treated like a queen. Even though at the times growing up, I didn't really understand that and didn't know it. I'll give you an example. He took me, when we had our cheesecake all around the Bay Area, and we had it in the Hyatt Regency downtown in San Francisco, where the restaurant turns around. So he took me there. He had me dressed up, and he pulled out my seat. He took me to the restaurant. Had me. He pulled out my seat, and we had the finest thing because he knew also the owners of the restaurant. So they would come out, hey, Mr. Howard, how you doing? They were, conversation and talking. And my dad was well respected in the business. And by him showing me that and showing me that, he said, order anything on the menu that you wanted. But with that, I lost that at growing up at a time in my life. But I always revert back to that, is that, yes, I do deserve, and yes, we do deserve to be treated as such. You treat people the way you want to be treated. You honor, and I honor and respect the Lord and individuals. And sometimes you have your times that you may mess up, but I thank God that He don't hold nothing. He has not hold things against me. He still, in my mess, allowed me to be able to do the things that I'm doing today. So He's constantly blowing my mind.
Absolutely.
He's constantly blowing my mind. But to my dad, I just want to say I want to thank him for taking me around and having the talks with me and just taking me. We were the back. I knew San Francisco like the back of my hand. You can't get me in San Francisco and I'd be lost. But just having those talks with him, I miss that. But I still get to have it with him. I feel His Spirit. I talk to Him, and He encourages me and He guides me. And I stand on Mr. Howard and Mrs. Howard's shoulders because I seen what my parents went through. I seen how they sacrificed, and was self-taught. That was, I don't put people down in a way of saying that they won't be anything.
Absolutely.
So, I made my mistakes and was continue to make mistakes. But in that, I want to thank him for being my dad and thank him for his sacrifices for his family.
So just to go back, do you realize how you connected with your father through music that you passed that down to your
Oh my
children?
God. Yes, I did. You I knew when I came in the house. I can tell you one thing that I loved about my parents. Even though that they might have had an issue, they did not fight in front of their children. We didn't know. But I knew something was going on in the music. I'm like, oh, and I could see, but they never fought. They never called each other out of their names. They never did any of those things. So that was one thing that I was so grateful to be able to experience in my life. And I know there is a lot that people go through in their lives, and unfortunately, those tender ears get a chance to hear that kind of stuff, and you don't know how you shape and mold your children. So you have to be careful about the things you say in front of them and the things you do.
Absolutely. So, well, is there anything that you would like to say to the little Barbara that you've learned in reflecting back over life?
I would say it's okay to be you. It's okay to be authentic. It's okay to sometimes don't know, but just listen and let God lead you. I would tell her that she was an okay girl. She was even though she wanted to be like somebody else and be like other people, I thank God that she understands that walking in her authenticity, being authentic was the key, and being unique and different. That it was, and I'll tell to other little girls that's out there, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to find love within you. You got to find that in you. You got to hold that within you. So that little girl, and I want to tell her the things that we've been through together, we made it. And we're still making it. And I love her dearly. And I wouldn't take back none of the things that we experienced in life, because it allowed me to be able to hopefully, again, like I said, inspire somebody else. I just want to tell her that I love her. And I loved her. Even though she had her challenges, but she was loved.
Absolutely. Well, I want to tell Big Barbara, congratulations, because you've overcame a lot. And woo, kudos to Miss Howard. She has graduated from college. Woo! And I just want to thank you for being a role model and being a mother that can be vulnerable with her children. Allowing us to know you in a more intimate, deeper level where there is nothing you can tell me about my mom before she done told me. There is no story. There is no disappointments. There are no sunny days. There are no dark days. There is nothing that you can tell myself and my brother, or my family in general, about Barbara and Howard that we don't already know. So I want to thank you. I want to commend you for all of the sacrifice that you've made and all of what you pour out of yourself, that you allow God to fill you up every single day to be able to keep going and do it. You've heard go, you're going. And yeah, you
Ms.
are.
Howard said go.
Ms. Howard said go. And with that, I think that once you realize again where God has brought you from and
I would never
where He's
forget.
taking you.
Never.
Yeah, where He's taking you, because you're on a journey.
Oh, wow.
You are on a journey, and I'm excited to see along the way.
Wow.
I'm excited to see. I've seen you on multiple journeys, but now we're in adult life, and I get to see and be a part in a whole nother light. So I commend you. I appreciate you. And I love you.
I love you too. And oh my God, I want to thank you for asking me that question, because I want to share with the families out there. I told my children, they knew when we needed the bills paid. They knew all of that. They knew the struggle. They knew when we didn't have it. They knew when you guys, or I would say to you, when I was going to work, you were going to work too. So school was work for you.
Yes, it
you
was.
Both, and I had to be, and I was going to work. So I said that to say that, you think that the little kids don't understand, but they do. And you give them responsibilities and you let them know that it is your part, and you have to do your part.
Yeah.
they will step up to the plate. They will step up to the plate. You will give them an allowance. You would um, don't just give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we have a lot of people in the world thinking that's something that the world owes you. It owes you nothing but death.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get it twisted. So I would say to share. Believe me, more than you know, the secrets and the things that you want to hold back from your children, you need to let them know.
Mm-hmm.
You need to let them know, and then they can see how, and share with them how you got through it.
Yeah.
That some things you say and you share, some things you wait till they get a little older, but it's all about being able to share it.
Absolutely.
And being authentic in sharing it, and being transparent.
Mm-hmm.
I can be transparent because what I understand, no one has a heaven or a hell to put me in. So with that,
Yes,
owning
sister.
that, I'm grateful to be able to be my authentic self. And I've been
Absolutely.
walking into that, in that. And I've been hopefully inspiring others to do the same.
Yes.
And I just also want to say I'm so proud.
Woo!
Woo! We have the 15th annual Juneteenth celebration that's coming
Yes.
on Saturday, June the 25th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have been doing this for 15 years.
Woo.
Oh my God. On the location is Brockhurst on it's 925 Brockhurst Street between San Pablo and Market Street. We're asking everyone to come out. It's live entertainment, community resources, vendors, and more. We have a gospel explosion from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And then we have Dean Chambers and Friends. We have Hip Hop TV, has an array of different individuals that's going to be entertaining us out there. We have the Black Culture Zone that's going to be out there. We have mental health. We have HHREC with the Tay area. And I definitely want to thank our sponsors, the City of Oakland, St. Mary's, the Oakland Film Festival, eBossy, the Godfather Extraordinaire, the Motorbike, Godfather Motorbike Extraordinaires, HHREC, the Black Culture Zone, Hip Hop TV, the Homies Empowerment, BH Brilliant Minds Project Inc., and Black Minds Matter 2. And then with that, I just want to say that'll be on another day that I talk about how we started the BH Brilliant Minds. I want to give kudos out to the Kathy Jackson from the Women's Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
How we started that. Then I also want to say we have a award ceremony that's going on. The brother Dante King, he has the 400 years of the Holocaust. He's going to be there. He's one of the authors. He's going to have an artist talk after Juneteenth. So again, please come out. It's Saturday, June the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then it's going to be at 925 Brockhurst Street, 3233 Market Street, between Brockhurst and in between San Pablo and Market Street on Brockhurst Street.
Mm-hmm.
The landmarks are the West Oakland Youth Center, Hoover Elementary, and the M. Robinson Baker YMCA. So it's in the West, and we're going to have a lot of different things going on. But again, you have tuned into Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour gospel and music radio station. Miss Lewis, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts with me, your encouragement with me, your everything with me. And I am so proud to be your mother, and I love you. And we're excited about the work that God has done and what he is doing in our lives and the next levels and dimensions.
Absolutely.
God bless you and have a wonderful day.
You too.